Rational Roundtable. We're going to talk about reason, rationality, religion, atheism, and whatever else we damn well please. Today's topics are atheism's unstoppable, are new atheists worse than creationists, talk about some of his crime arguments and his general character. We may touch on the alpha, beta, omega, delta, gamma, sigma nonsense, and then changing word definitions, like changing the word progressive into regressive. So we got some folks here. Oh, Uzlu, I see you.
Yes, and I hear you all.
Excellent. I was thinking you might have to use sign language here for a moment.
How well can you hear me? Can you hear this?
Yeah, we can hear
Mhm.
you well. Yeah, you sound
The right
perfect.
mic. Okay, good.
Right on.
Okay,
So,
well, I'll be back in a second. I'm going to go look in on the kids, so hold on.
right on, right on. Josh, man, I just wanted to let you go ahead and vent for a minute because I'm sure you probably need it.
What am I venting on? Just AIU here?
Yeah, and just like how your last couple of days of harassment have been.
It's honestly like, well, I just discovered the mute button on Twitter, and that's been a real big help. Like, I've just been letting them fucking go at me every day for the past, well, it's gotta been like 3 months. So I don't, it's just like white noise right now. Like, it honestly doesn't bother me at all. Well, not at that. What they're doing behind the harassment bothers me. When they put my name onto Google, that bothers me. But the shit that they're saying to me directly, that doesn't bother me.
That's a good way to look at it, man. Just
Yeah,
let it
I mean,
roll off your back, and you're a duck in its water.
you can't consider them to have any significant righteous thing to say. I mean, I've seen no evidence that they have any sort of rational arguments. It's just cult thinking. It's
Exactly.
Just, he's right because he's our Lord and Master.
Like, why is he relevant?
Well, no, like I think that Nelson guy actually said that in the debate. He can't be racist because if he was racist, he'd be wrong, and he can't be wrong, therefore he's not racist. He actually said that in our debate. If you go back and watch it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm going to touch on a topic that I think we all could get behind, which is Cults 101. And just so everybody knows, if they wanted to follow along, I'm going to go ahead and post the link to this page into the side chat there. If I can find it. Control room, go away. Alrighty. Or why not? I'll just post it on the Twitter since Google Plus is being a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
What do you mean that never happened?
What's that?
I said, what do you mean that never happened?
Yeah, it's being quite a pain in the ass. Okay, so I put the link in Twitter. That way you can pick up your phone and maybe look at it while I go over this, and we'll kind of agree whether or not they meet the criteria. So there's.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah, go.
Just out of curiosity, does anybody here have any experience with cults?
I do.
Personally.
I have experience with talking to cult members, cult leaders. I mean, I can, besides Scientology, which is always my favorite, there's a cult in Australia, a guy who thinks he's Jesus named AJ.
Oh, yeah.
And I've chatted with quite a few of his members, just trying to kind of get an idea about their psyche and why they think this guy is the reincarnated Jesus, which I think is hilarious. And then also there's a now defunct cult, woohoo, that's a win, called Destiny out of South Africa. I dealt with those guys for probably 2 years. You can look up some of their YouTube videos. They are very entertaining. Basically, it all centered around a girl named Suzette Spies, and she thought, or well, she still thinks that she can channel dead people. And yeah, she has quite a following. It's interesting. But okay, so some of the points to touch on for cults. Okay, so the first one, everybody give me a yay or nay on these, okay? The group displays excessively zealous and unquestioning commitment to its leader, and whether he is dead or alive, regards his belief system, ideology, and practices as truth and as law.
Sounds like it's written to describe them, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen at least one of them say that he's always right and that he's a genius and that he's objective.
He said that himself numerous times.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And then it gets retweeted numerous times.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he is a fucking genius. Jeez, guys. I mean, bulletproof
Well, he
argument.
is a smart guy, that's for sure, but his ego goes way beyond that.
Mhm.
Like, he's not an idiot. We all know that.
I sent Josh a screenshot of what he was saying when he said sub me and he was listing off all his what he thinks are redeemable qualities about himself. And then Skullduggery came back, and then he added an extra compliment on there that he left out about himself. So I was like, man.
Okay, and that may hit another one of these. Okay, so that's great. And you're going to have to let me know what these redeeming qualities were at some point, because I'd love to hear them. Okay, so the next check mark is questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished.
Oh, of course.
That is 100%.
Yep, okay, so we got yays on that.
How did they feel about Tyler?
Oh, you know what? That was actually kind of interesting. When Tyler tweeted out that he wasn't going to be part of the smear campaign, he actually, responded with something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, oh, but, you've made videos for me in the past, but whatever. Kind of, he didn't ban him or anything, but I think he just kind of was like, he sort of guilt-tripped him a little bit, but nothing major. So that is a good point. But I would say overall, dissent is discouraged and punished because you get blocked or banned. I mean,
Well, dissent against him from outside is, but is that not talking more about from inside the cult? I'm not sure.
yeah, that's a good point.
Uh,
But then also is Tyler, because you said something about, honestly, I haven't watched that with Tyler, if that's his name. I might have got it wrong.
Yeah,
But
Tyler Preston.
if he's helping them make videos, then there's a vested interest in not trashing him. So it'll help
Yeah,
him.
when you're vetted in, you can have a little bit more leeway with the dissent, I'm sure.
Well, that's part of the culture around AIU, because Tyler Preston, he's tapped into that because AIU promotes him and he promotes AIU. Like, if you look at Skullduggery, all he does is mirror AIU, and his entire channel is dedicated to him, and he's got 300-400, actually I don't know how many subscribers he has, and just probably under 1,000 range, just from licking his balls. No other content, no original content of his own, just AIU content.
When I did a search on his photo, I did a Google image search, it actually did pull up a discussion between him and somebody else from way back when on his YouTube channel, but I don't know of anything recent that he's done that's original. So let's give the questioning, doubt, and dissent one of 50. How's that? 50% maybe? Because I do have a picture that I had taken that Skullduggery had responded to somebody. His entire page is him confronting people, you dumb twat. That's what somebody had put out, and then.
No, don't say that word. Sorry.
Sorry, I was just I was
can
quoting.
stay with you. It just kind of grosses me out.
My bad.
No, guys, that's highbrow humor. That is highbrow humor right there.
Well, that's what somebody.
I can confirm.
Pussy, whatever. The T word just makes me cringe.
Well, then I'll use a different word next time I come across that one.
You could have just pronounced it differently.
It's been done.
You can say twat, but just not,
Oh, I can't quite say it like you say it, man. All right, but that was a post that John the Baptist had posted, and Skullduggery responded with, what is it here? Aggressive flying monkey is aggressive. Harpoon that kid. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Interesting.
That was kind of like quashing dissent. An accurate assessment of that atheist roof. I ever heard one. Aggressive flying monkey is aggressive. Harpoon that kid. And I don't know what he meant by that. I don't know if the guy it was a mistake or what, but yeah, okay, so we'll move on to the next one really quick, which is probably not going to fit them, which is mind-altering practices such as meditation, chanting, speaking in tongues. They're used in excess and serve to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. So I think that's a no.
Well, yeah, I think for all intents and purposes it is, but depending on how you're supposed to interpret that and what the factors are for that. You could posit some things as being close, as being similar. Like I don't imagine many other cults are focused around YouTube channels. That may be something that you could analogize to that particular criteria.
Yeah, that's true. The only other one I can think of is like Stefan.
Destiny one.
Yeah, the Destiny one is very YouTube-ish. That's true.
Okay.
And Stefan, what's his name? Stefan
Molyneux.
Molyneux, yeah. But then again, I don't know. It's tough to say. I mean, meditation, chanting, speaking in tongues, denunciation. Oh, there we go. That's actually in there. Denunciation sessions.
Ah, right.
Oh yeah, that's there for sure. Those are regular.
Yeah.
That would be in there, and that's true. They all kind of gang up on people and do that.
That's
Okay.
pretty much their entire life, it seems.
Right.
Okay.
Josh is like 90% the target of it as well.
Yeah, no, they do not have lives. They all claim to have fucking kids and that. I'm like, why the hell are you spending more time paying attention to me than your kids? It's fucking sickening, honestly.
It's because they love you, man.
That's for sure.
They love you for everything they hate you for anyway.
They need to have something to hate, otherwise they'd hate themselves.
Yeah, I figured,
Yeah.
once they labeled you a racist, you were in.
He's not a casual racist.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so the next one is the leadership dictates, sometimes in great detail, how members should think, act, and feel.
Sometimes in great YouTube videos, but usually in crap YouTube videos.
Yeah, or like do this thing to Josh.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a yay on that.
We could take that one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leader, and members.
I don't. Well, it might have been considered a tweet, but they said they were going to be if he gets his account unbanned, they will be the followers of the religion Rue Reborn. I don't know if that's satire, but that kind of fits it.
Yeah.
I
don't
swear,
like-
these guys are working out of L. Ron Hubbard's playbook.
She said the Westboro Church of Atheism.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. What were we going to say there, Uzula?
Sorry, I think they have an elitist attitude. I don't know if they have a particular quality that they use to define themselves as an elite. If you're going to say atheism, then I mean their main opponents are atheists, so I don't think it's that. I mean, I think if there is a quality, it's something a bit more nebulous, like that they're all geniuses and they all happen to be right, or maybe just that they all follow AIU, who is a genius and happens to be right. But I don't know if there's something like we are the chosen sons of this god that you might find in a normal cult. But they do have, they definitely have elitist attitudes, but they don't have like a specific special
They
quality
do
that they
seem, I don't know, but they do seem to get a great pleasure out of being accepted by him, though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's true.
I mean, you can a sect of atheism. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a lot different. Culture on his
atheism.
channel is a lot different than on the cultures you'll find on other atheist channels.
Yeah. It's like atheism plus with more violent abuse and racism.
Yeah, so it seems more than anything. It seems more than anything else. Devin Tracy is the elitist, and not so much the group or the members as a whole.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that?
Well, they have the benefit of being his flying monkey, so that's an elite group, you guys.
And the thing is, like, flying monkeys is a somewhat derogatory term. You couldn't use that as an elitist thing. It's kind of strange that he uses a derogatory term for that.
Well, no, that's just a play on
I don't know.
Wizard of Oz.
I know, yeah.
That's
I know
not
what it's
a flying like derogatory monkey. That's just a play on goon.
I know, but he's basically calling them slaves. Like if he was calling them like soldiers of Rue, that'd be a bit more endearing. Or brave knights of the Rue.
Yeah, but it's more descriptive because they don't have minds of their own.
Yeah, I mean that's true, but that's obvious with the name. I mean, therefore it's kind of derogatory.
I find it interesting too because in some different psychology forums that I've been looking through here recently, that term "flying monkeys" is actually used pretty often to describe people that surround narcissists. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he picked that up once upon a time from his shrink. I'm not sure. Okay.
I doubt there's anyone in his life who tells him how he's thinking and gives him advice that he actually follows.
Well, he
If
did
you have
see
a
a
shrink,
shrink.
he's the most regrettable, like regretting of taking up the job shrink in the world.
No doubt, no doubt. Now, he did have a shrink once upon a time. I remember watching a Hangout where he talked about his, because his dad had passed away, I guess, when he was still like an adolescent, something along those lines, and he was really depressed, and I don't know if he was necessarily suicidal, but he was, he said he was depressed, and he went and saw a shrink for it. Okay, so let me move on. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Pinup, I didn't catch it. Go ahead.
I said I'm surprised he would actually admit to that. But I don't know if that was just an attempt to make himself more humanized to the group or what.
I think there's more to him than just that he's a narcissistic cult leader, but I mean, yeah, he's mostly that, but there's a human side to him as well, I suspect. I mean, there was to Hitler, despite all he was.
Yeah, I agree with that. There was a
Not that I'm comparing him to Hitler, just human to human.
Yeah.
Fans to say that he's Hitler. I'm saying he's Hitler because it's an analogy. No, it's like this is a human. This is a human. They both have these qualities. Like they both have a human side, despite the fact that people didn't like them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
AIU is Hitler though, so go on.
And well, I did find it interesting. He had posted a video a while back about a guy he had started to harass online, and the guy's wife left him and all this other stuff. I think he was French. And the guy was contemplating committing suicide, and Rue actually made a video, basically saying, hey, you're wrong.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Don't kill yourself, and
Yeah.
everybody go tell this guy not to kill himself kind of thing. So there is, I was really surprised to see that amount of empathy come from him, and that may have something to do with a personal experience with suicide that he may have gone through. Yeah, once upon a time. Okay, so the group has polarized us versus them mentality, which may cause conflict with the wider society. That's a definite, in my book.
We could probably discuss it, but I suspect even they would agree with that.
Okay, the leader's not accountable to any authorities, which is unlike teachers, military commanders, ministers, priests, monks, rabbis, of mainstream religious denominations. I would kind of go along with that because he doesn't think that he's accountable to authorities like copyright policies and things like that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, fuck it. I'll just open a new channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's talking about legal accountability or actual accountability, but perceived accountability. So I think it's safe to say he doesn't actually have accountability, or perhaps to direct voluntary hierarchical accountability, like with teachers, military personnel, and stuff like that.
Right, within the group.
Those categories. Yeah, and he also is an atheist, so he doesn't have a imaginary leader either.
Yeah, that's a good point.
This is still a secular cult, if you're looking at it that way.
Yeah, the cult of personality, but that makes it sound good.
Yeah, there are definitely non-religious cults.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drug abuse cults out there. There's, and then you've got the Rue here.
Okay. The group teaches or implies that its supposedly exalted ends justify whatever means it deems necessary.
Yes.
Okay, we got one yay on that. Anybody else?
The neutral pinup says yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well, what context do you put into that yes?
Pinup?
It's sorry. It's something has to do with the memes. Sorry, I'm kind of distracted. It has to do with the memes that they were putting out about Josh, and when I was questioning about it, and somebody else was, I don't know who it was, he just made it sound like you deserved it. It wasn't I'm sorry, it was I'm sorry you made me mad enough to have to do this type thing. And it just, that's what sparked it.
Well, that's another way he looks at it. Like, he says it's my fault for reporting him and it's not his fault for taking my video.
Yeah.
That's one of the ways he likes to look at it. It's my fault he got banned, not his own fault. Like, did I hack your computer and upload my video to your channel? There's no excuse for committing crimes except for if you're Devin Tracy, then you have a good excuse.
Right. That really lends itself to the second part of that, which is this may result in members participating in behaviors or activities they would have considered reprehensible or unethical before joining the group. That's the
Well,
second.
we can't really judge that because we don't know what they were like before they joined the cult.
Hmm.
True. Okay.
But
Yeah,
they do exhibit behavior of indecent behavior on their own. Like I had that one woman. She's like, "Oh, do you go to this school?" I'm like, oh, "God damn it!" Like she's totally like creeping me so hard, and she's trying to like fuck with my life.
Which one is that?
What's her name? I'll tell you.
Look at that for a moment. I'm going to read the next one.
Yep.
The leadership induces feelings of shame and or guilt in order to influence or control the members. Often this is done through peer pressure and subtle forms of persuasion.
Nah, he's against white guilt. We all know that.
Yeah.
There are, of course, other forms of guilt. I can't speak personally to this one. I haven't seen it, but probably has happened.
It's awfully vague too. I mean, especially when you're talking about peer pressure. I mean, that's almost unavoidable in some situations when you're in groups.
Well, I
That's the
think
strange
just
thing
the
about it. Sorry, go on.
I think they do have peer pressure for the Patreon because they have a hierarchy level also within the cult of Patreons are on top and they take precedence over everyone else. And I'm pretty sure they do peer pressure them into becoming Patreons.
Yeah, that's what that is.
The thing about... Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say Pinup was going to say something there too.
Oh, I was just agreeing.
Okay, no, go. I'm sorry, Ursula, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that this might be a slightly different case than the page you've got there, the list, expects, because this is entirely online, and someone could leave the cult at any moment with maybe a few questions on where they'd gone, but without really much notice. And so peer pressure and stuff like that, if someone felt it was too much, if someone didn't like it, they'd be much more likely to just leave quietly than they would to react. In real life, you can't so much leave quietly, and when you're all in the same place, congregated, someone's going to notice if you leave. You know, there's just differences between the two, and so I suspect if there's any appearance of great cohesion within the group, it's likely because the ones that don't agree are leaving, and the ones left all agree more strongly with each other.
Okay, so we will not check that one. How's that sound?
If it does apply, then it would be difficult to tell, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, this is online. It's kind of a different side of it. Like it's not like textbook to a culture list. Like,
well, his subscription numbers have dropped off a lot, so I think that proves what Uzulu was saying. You know, people are just leaving; they're not resubscribing when he makes his new channel.
Well, they also take time to build up, and he does increase his numbers steadily.
Okay.
Yeah, when he makes his new channel, he'll have less subs than Josh, and Josh can revel in that.
Yeah.
For at least a few days, anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before the cult jumps back in.
Okay. Well, I'm going to leave that one unchecked for now.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next one we're going to do is subservience to the leader or group requires members to cut ties with family and friends and radically alter the personal goals and activities they had before joining the group.
I don't know.
I'm going to say no on that one.
No.
Stefan Molyneux definitely does. He explicitly preaches that.
Yeah, he does.
I have it muted because I'm dealing with something right now. So.
That's okay. That's fine. You know, we'll take it as a no if you don't say anything.
Yeah, I think that one's probably a no. I haven't seen any evidence of that.
Yeah, me neither. Okay, so the group is preoccupied with bringing in new members.
I'm not sure the group is. I think the leader is, or at least some of the time. I don't know.
His elite following is like the Patreons. They're the ones on Twitter, really, is the Patreons. They're the ones who are actively following him, and they're the ones who will sit somebody down like Michelle and talk to them and feed them bullshit.
Yeah,
so I think the elite members are concerned with that as well.
Yeah, all I was doing was saying hi to Josh. That's all I was doing, and then Josh responded, and then they attacked and jumped on me. Like, it was...
They intercept every tweet that is tweeted to me. Skullduggery comments on every single one.
I did find it kind of interesting though about the with Pinup when you did say a few things between you and Devin, he was like, sub me, you know.
Yeah.
It was almost kind of like a demanding sort of, I don't know if it's necessarily a preoccupation, but, you know, with any YouTube channel, even though he says, oh, I don't really care about how many viewers I have, I believe that deep down it does bother him.
Oh, he definitely cares. I had asked him what his goals for his channel and himself were, and he's of course said that, you know, nothing needs to change, it's all great, but he said that he did want to see his subculture, which is what he called it, grow. So he's definitely wanting more viewers, wanting more people to follow him for sure.
Could you imagine if he had like 1 million subscribers? How fucked that would be.
I don't think there's enough humans that would like his style, luckily.
Like if you just look
Yeah.
at like the impression, like he has like his biggest channel is like what 25,000. That's fucking nothing, and he makes that big of an impact. He's fighting with that many people with that small of a following in context.
Well,
And if he had like TJ's channel, how fucked that would be. How much control he would have.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why this conversation's even relevant.
well, he does have one openly Christian follower, which is kind of insane.
Yeah.
He's got a few actually.
Well,
I met them.
That sort of based upon making, you know, the ones that are Christian kind of believe about the whole racist thing one way or the other. And then so he's homophobic too. So there is that appeals to some of those Christian idiots.
Well, also like the Islam topic. I know a lot of my coworkers are Christian, and if I show them my Islam stuff, they'll like it too. They won't watch anything else, but they'll like my Islam videos. So like there is a lot of like Islam applies to a lot more cultures than just atheism.
Yeah.
They like that content.
The current drama doesn't have much to do with atheism, so someone could be on Rue's side despite it. And actually, the same sort of character traits that would make an atheist appreciate Rue and that Rue has himself probably are more prevalent in theism. I'm not going to make that assertion because that's probably sweeping generalization, but I think it's probably at least somewhat more prevalent.
Well, I think religious people also look to atheists as, like, you know, they're obviously they see them as being more knowledgeable, more logical, and to see that they can share a common ground with them and they, you know, share the same biases and things like that is probably a big confirmation for a religious person.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to check mark they're preoccupied with bringing in new members. Everybody okay with that?
Interesting, though. What would actually be interesting, though, is that Christian follower guy, if later on that he does convert, just because Rue is. That would be interesting.
Well, you surround yourself with secular people, some of it's going to rub off on you. Same with any other culture.
Seeing all those memes and everything, too, make you think.
Okay, the group is preoccupied with making money.
Patreon exists.
Patreon does exist. It's not a monetized channel, which I've always found interesting, but I think that's because he gets strikes so often he can't monetize.
Well, let's see what happens with this when, you know, because it's probably inevitable at this point when he makes his new channel, or if he already has made it, when he starts using it, if he actually monetizes his stuff. Because if he's not, then he may just be relying on Patreon. I wonder why he wouldn't, though. Maybe he's he just
No, he does monetize some videos. Like he's got he did a version of like Sam Harris. He did a visual to his speech. It's actually a really good video. If you go, it's on like his second or third channel on the homepage. It's got like 500,000 plus views. He's got a few videos out there that are like with his bullshit aside, good atheism videos that he does monetize.
Okay.
Okay.
Strange that he wouldn't monetize all of them. I was going to say maybe he doesn't want his adoring fans to have to suffer through adverts to see his wonderful face or wonderful kangaroo avatar and hear his wonderful voice.
That, you know, that may be he just wants to get to the meat of the issue quickly and just give his people what they want.
But as I said before, he's a human, and there's certainly potentially other reasons why he would be doing it. He might just have some sort of altruism involved there. Like you can watch his videos without having to pay him, but you can donate with Patreon, and that's completely voluntary.
Well, he might not have the subscriber base to even make much money off of that. Like he probably wouldn't like he makes some money, but he's not going to get a huge income with only like his 11,000 subs. Like that's going to be peanuts.
It depends how devoted his subs are to him, and as we've seen, they are quite devoted. I do wonder how much. I'm not sure if we can tell. I doubt we can. How much Skullduggery gives to him, like a tithe.
Probably like half his paycheck, like a Muslim or something.
We may be able to check that out through the Patreon website. They may. I know they at least list the patrons. I don't know if they list how much they donate though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have to say no, but I haven't been in it long enough to, from what I've seen, I haven't seen him talking a whole lot about money. In fact, Skullduggery is one of his biggest criticisms about TJ is they openly admit that they like the money off of it. So
Yeah.
at this point in time, that's not the direction that they are going. But it does make a valid point that once it starts building up, and then there's pressure, to donate more and more, that certainly become the case.
I think if he had monetized all his videos, we could infer a preoccupation, but since he doesn't, he's missing an opportunity and he must be doing it knowingly to make money, so we can't really infer a preoccupation from that.
Well, he's more focusing on building his subscriber base, really. That's the way I see it. Like, I don't monetize any of my videos either. Like, I don't plan to until I have, like, probably at least 50,000 subs.
Yeah,
well, and he has strong opinions about what makes a channel good. Like, it's old to talk about Christianity now, and I'm sure that, part of his long list of what makes a channel good is no ads and a non-monetized channel.
I would say, yeah, I would agree. He's more preoccupied with bringing in new members than he would be making money. I would go about it that way.
With new members comes more money because they do the Patreon thing too, which he does link in the description of every one of his videos.
I see what you're saying, but I think that it's more focused on members as of now. It may be more about money in the future, the preoccupation with it, but I think they're more preoccupied with any of the two, I would say, with the new members.
Yeah, I think if he is preoccupied with money, it's indirect through preoccupation for members.
Yeah, they kind of go hand in hand, though.
They do somewhat, and in the future that may be more relevant. I think it'd be more relevant if we saw him monetize his videos and really push for it more, because he doesn't ask people to donate to his Patreon except for the most part anyway, except for in the about the video kind of thing. Okay, let's
just a couple of seconds.
Okay. The next one is members are expected to devote inordinate amounts of time to the group and group-related activities. Oh, fuck. I don't know whether they're expected or not, but they're definitely expected to donate time and make memes and videos and things like that. I would kind of go with that one, really.
I don't know if they're obligated, but they certainly choose to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if the obligation's there.
I don't know, that tweet about, like, I want all my black followers, or however you put it, my black subscribers to make videos or whatever. I don't know. There seems to be...
But he didn't say that he would ban them, he didn't,
but there's
didn't make it mandatory.
There seems to be an expectation. I don't know.
I wouldn't say it's an expectation. I'd say no on that one.
Okay, so no on that one. We got a pin up.
I don't know enough about that, so.
Okay. All right. Members are encouraged or required to live or socialize with other group members. Only with other group members.
That's a no.
Yeah. I do have a question though. So, what channels is he okay with? Because I am a little bit out of the loop. I've been seeing things on Twitter, but I mean, what channels is he actually affiliated with? I mean, is he trying to make it so that it's just about his channel and he's the only good atheist channel, or does he actually have? I don't know. Is he connected with other people at this point?
I haven't seen so, but
it doesn't
I don't think
seem
he has
like
any
it.
allies.
Yeah.
No, he has smaller channels that follow him intently. Like that Autopsy guy or whatever, he's got quite a few subs. He's got smaller channels that commit to him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I
I mean,
think
it does seem like he's making a bubble.
Yeah.
he's attacked all, as far as I know, all of the major atheist YouTubers. At least the ones I would consider major. As I mentioned, he attacked the Bible Reloaded recently. Obviously, TJ and Jacqueline. I don't know if he's gone after Thunderfoot, Steve Shives, people like that. But if he hasn't, then I suggest he's ignoring them, and they're not paying him any attention either.
Has he gone off after Armored Skeptic yet? That's
No.
gonna be hilarious.
No one's gonna go over. No one's gonna go after Armored Skeptic except for Jenny McDermott.
Yeah.
I will say I did notice a couple things with Sarkhan of Akkad, who I actually respect. I noticed there were two things. One was there were a couple tweets back and forth. I think Sargon had tagged him in a tweet, but it was nothing like, overtly like, hey, you're awesome or nothing like that. But if you watch the video where he talks about, he gloats about banning people, he shows a screenshot of his inbox for Google. And if you look down on the inbox, one of the messages, the title of the message is Sargon, which I found kind of interesting. That would be a little bit worrisome in my book, because Sargon of Akkad has a huge following on YouTube. But
Yes,
I wouldn't say allies with him, though.
No, I've disagreed with a lot of Sargon, a lot of what Sargon said, but he's for the most part, the vast majority of it I've agreed with, and he's a good orator as well. Makes some good stuff, and yes, it would be disappointing if he, even if he was just indifferent, I'd be somewhat disappointed.
Well, they definitely like him because Skullduggery sent me in direct message a ton of Sargon links to watch.
Sargon's pretty vocally anti-feminist, and a lot of atheist YouTubers are anti-feminist, or not anti-feminine but anti-radical feminists.
Speaking of smoke, see where he tried to bait me to see if I was a feminist.
I noticed that, yeah, and I posted AIU confirmed sexist when basically he said his reason for being able to do something that Michelle couldn't do was that he was a man, basically, is what he said.
It was judging intent of racism. He said like something along the lines of, "Who are you to join to be able to discern the intent of racism?"
Yeah.
And then said right back at you because he had done the same thing with Josh, And then that was when he replied, "I'm a man."
Yeah, I made an image with AIU confirmed sexist on it.
That's hilarious.
Which will be around forever.
I did not catch that conversation. That's interesting. I mean, I'm not surprised. It kind of goes along. It seems like with his mentality, with like the gay bashing and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I suspect, as Pinup said, it was just to try to bait her into revealing that she was a radical feminist or something. The response he was probably expecting for her she was cries of misogyny and patriarchy. But she's not, and so he just got lol, basically.
Just moved on to the next topic.
Yeah.
In fact, I replied with something like, cute, laugh out loud, watch it, the feminazis might be watching, or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely hates the one feminist YouTuber. What is her name? Oh, the girl with
He calls her Skeletor, right?
No, he hates. No, that's Jacqueline Glenn.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I'm trying to think of her name. Rebecca Watson.
Rebecca Watson, yeah.
Rebecca Watson.
Elevator Gate.
He has said some of the rudest things to her. Like, I don't necessarily agree with Rebecca Watson and everything, but I do watch some of her videos because she brings up some pretty interesting science concepts. But man, some of the comments he's made to her are just about the most shallow, just vitriol. I mean, you just see it's like, you're ugly and your teeth are messed up. I mean, it's horrible, horrible things to say to anybody.
Yeah.
The last one that's on here is, I don't know, it's tough to say. The most loyal members, the quote true believers, feel there can be no life outside the context of the group, and they believe there is no other way to be. and often fear reprisals to themselves or others if they leave or even consider leaving the group. That's
That's
tough.
a hard one to judge without actually like talking to one like personally without a bias.
Yeah, without a bias, good luck.
Yeah, they believe there is no other way to be. It's kind of interesting when it comes to the mindset of the, well, which we'll get into a second here with the statistic stuff, like the argument from the statistics. There is no other way to think about the black community other than, they're potentially criminals.
Mm.
I think I would say no to this just because it's not the same as like the dissenting point that was talked about earlier, because it's almost sounds like I don't know. It's just because I feel like that point is more about what's going on in their heads in their day-to-day life every day. Because when you're in a cult, that's it. That's all you think about, and that's yeah. And I don't know. I just don't really. I would say no to that.
Well,
Just
if you
because.
look like Duggery, he's tweeted me like 50 some odd times today alone. Like he's definitely his mind is belongs to AIU for sure.
Yeah.
I would
not
say
sure.
if we were to focus on skullduggery, we could have probably check-marked off 2 or 3
Yeah.
extras of these. Him specifically.
I guess what I'm trying to say is
He is the elite follower though. He is the general, and you're talking about the elite followers.
True. The most loyal members. Yeah, you're right. You got a point there.
Yeah, I don't think that we can say definitively yes or no. But when it comes to skullduggery, I'm leaning towards yes.
Yeah, I am too. Because he's the true believer, and him and the kid that
He's never
says
disagreed with Devin once.
God. Oh, interesting.
I'm actually going to be cooking, so we'll have it on mute. I'll reply as I can, but I want to listen. It's pretty interesting.
I think the other reason I feel like I have to say no to this is because I don't think there's any kind of mission or I don't know. Like I just don't feel like there's a lifestyle behind what they're doing beyond what almost any other YouTuber does.
Are you on Twitter?
Like really casually.
Well, they have a really heavy Twitter presence.
Yeah, they do. And I must admit, the way this points out the most loyal members, the quote true believers, really kind of it sort of paints this as a yes for me personally.
Yeah, I'd say yes.
That's 2. What do you think, Uzla?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards yes on it. I mean, I with any of these, there's at least some speculation. Well, most of them anyway. But with this
yeah,
one,
because some of the points sound really similar. I guess I'm just getting into semantics.
with this one, there's more speculation, but I think we're closer to yes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I got to agree with what you had said earlier, Uzla, about like this deals with real life, like flesh and blood type cults. And it kind of, there's a lot of ambiguity. We have to kind of stretch a little bit of these meanings sometimes to sort of fit what we're talking about. But some of these are dead on. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They got 9 out of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 9 out of 15. That's a tough call, man. It's like, I mean, what are they, 6 away?
1 second.
I would definitely, it's borderline. I mean, I would say that there's, like a real.
That's 60%. They scored 60% on their cult test.
Yeah, it's 2/5.
It's a passing in America. I mean,
And I mean, how many years has this channel been around now? So that
this one has only been on for like 6-7 months, I think.
But his presence on YouTube has been many more years, hasn't it?
Yeah.
How many? 2 years? 3 years?
He's had his Atheism is Unstoppable channel for at least 3 years, I think. And then I think he's had more experience with social networking and followings before that.
Okay, so we could say 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty young for any kind of abusive group or cult.
Yeah.
That's pretty young.
It's for just a YouTube channel to have.
Yeah, it is. It is a lot of hits. Okay, well, I do want to move on to the next thing if you guys are ready. Does anybody have anything else they want to say about this?
I'm gonna grab a beer.
Yeah, grab me one too.
Well, I'll say that I'm going to keep calling them a cult.
I mean, I'd say 60%, man. D's get degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would call it a cult. I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never had any doubt that they were not among the worst types of cult. Like, they're not ritual suicidalists, but there's definitely intense cult mentality. And in
Well, when
terms of
you
actually
cult with
being a
this much
cult,
hate, man, that's really fucking dangerous.
yeah.
Yeah, well,
Luckily,
this
they're all
was
like
and
this.
early on too.
Yeah.
Wait, I didn't catch what Pinup just said. Repeat that. I'm sorry.
I said this much hate in this early on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so let me see here. That kind of fits with the art atheists worse than creationists.
Or new
What?
atheists.
Yeah,
Or
or new.
rue atheists, sorry.
Yeah, Rue atheists. That's really what I should say. There is another thing I wanted to talk about real quick. That one guy, Flo or whatever, the guy that has the avatar with his shirt off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had tweeted a picture of kind of a rebuttal to some of the stuff we were saying about statistics. And he's just not getting what an ecological or inference fallacy is. Like he didn't even like take the time to look it up. I mean, I'm gonna just give you the definition of what ecological fallacy is. Okay, it's a logical fallacy in the interpretation of statistical data, where inferences about the nature of individuals are deduced from inference for the group to which those individuals belong. And that seems pretty obvious. I mean, he did post a two-part video, thank you there, Josh, today, that, again, went back to statistics. I think it's actually based on the same exact FBI statistics that he'd used before. And it's a very clear ecological fallacy to just use one stat and make an inference about an entire group when you're talking about individuals of that group. So Flo had posted this rebuttal to what we had said. And did you guys read that? I'm sure you guys all have, probably, right?
I don't know if it was Flo posting. I think it was. He posted an image with white background, black text, and it was in response to a chain that started with me posting my article.
They're
where I
watching
talked
us.
about- Oh, wonderful. Hello.
Oh, so in other words, yeah, it is on there. Okay, well, right on. Hey, guys.
So I wrote that article about the original statement that Rue made, whether it was racist or not. I concluded, as you might imagine, that it was, and gave my reasoning. And then Pinup replied, and there were a little bit back and forth, and then I think it was Flo came into the conversation and replied with this white text, black text, white background rebuttal, and it looked like he hadn't read the article. Like categorically did not even notice the article. Maybe he didn't notice it, but I linked him the article. None of the Joeys have ever rebutted my article. I don't know if any of them have ever read it. But it's there for the world to see. I think I did see what you're talking about, but I'm not sure.
I just went ahead and sent it to everybody. Yeah, it was interesting. Like I said, totally ignored the blatant fallacy that I pointed out about it, that it's an ecological fallacy. I mean, it's pretty much a textbook ecological fallacy. I went ahead and posted if you guys want to take a look at it. I was going to take a second to read it. I don't know if my reading's getting on anybody's nerves, or there was a couple points I wanted to touch on. Let me see here.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Wait, you posted Sam Harris's thing about atheism.
Oh, my bad. Sorry about that.
No, I mean that's a good link, but it's not the right one.
It's an excellent link, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. Give me a moment. Yeah, I just saw that black on white, and I thought that was it.
Perhaps I can find it.
Yeah, I'm looking right now. Either one of us, it's fine. So is the chat opened up in this? I'm not even sure.
We got a group chat. Have you set the regular chat?
I don't believe so. Let me see if I can find it. I found it. Okay, here it comes.
Hey, real quick, does anybody know what Skullduggery's first name is?
Anthony.
Yep, Anthony K.
Yes,
Is that a doc drop? No, he's told us.
and he's shown us his face as well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm surprised because he was hiding that for a while.
Oh, okay.
Okay, did that Twitter picture come across everybody?
Yes, and this is the one, and this is exactly what I thought it was. It's on that same chain, which is where Pinup posted my article, and we had a bit of back and forth, and you, Treetail, were on there as well, and then Flo responded, and I don't think he was even responding to the article. It looks like he just missed it completely. I think he was responding to the video you posted.
I was going to say, I had posted in a previous conversation we had 3 different studies actually saying that all 3 of them were from different sources. One was from a university, one was from a private organization, and the other was from a newspaper, all pointing out that the FBI statistics that he cites are extremely flawed. Matter of fact, I think in the news article, which, you know, it is a news article, granted, they likened it to claims of Bigfoot. That's how much credit they give it. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and I'd sent him those in the past. I don't actually have them right now, but we could always go back and find those later. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of go over this. Rue offers statistics in response to Jacqueline Glenn's video in which she had claimed that white cops and white people in general are racist. Okay, and so
Wait, responded with that?
this is this gentleman Flo. He had posted it. I don't know, Alice. Do you have your Twitter pulled up?
I can't pull it up.
You're not in our thing, are you?
Yeah, I'm see. If you're posting stuff, I'm not going to see it.
That's fine. I'll kind of read it to you. I'll read it again if you need to hear it. Do you need to hear it again?
It's okay. Just go ahead.
Okay.
Would you mind just going over that first sentence as well before the word context, because I've got something to say about that.
Sure. Most AIU fans are first and foremost outraged that people call someone racist and smear for weeks for stating official statistics.
Well, that's not what happened. The problem was not that he stated statistics. The problem was his analysis of them. And his analysis was at least interpretable as racist, but that one comment he said that I analyzed in my article was in fact literally racist. And that's why people, I would say TJ and the Drunken Peasants may have jumped the gun in calling him racist, but I think that's sort of just a shortcut. They weren't necessarily seriously condemning him for being personally racist. I don't think anyone really believes that. But if he says something racist overtly, then saying he's racist, even if it's just as a shortcut, I think is perfectly excusable, especially if it's on an informal show.
He just misspoke personally.
Yeah, I suspect Rue misspoke and didn't have the humility to edit it.
Yeah, he doubled down on those exact claims pretty much.
Yeah.
Those videos he posted today, he pretty much doubled down on them. I agree with you there. You can cite a statistic, but what you infer from the statistic could potentially be a racist comment. And I'm going to go off of Skullduggery's comment that he had made during Josh's debate with him, where he said, people that say racist things are racist. I mean, that's I'm paraphrasing a bit, but that's pretty much what he had said. So I found that kind of interesting.
Yeah. He sounds.
I personally do not think that Rue is racist. Like,
you really don't think he's racist?
I don't think he goes day to day doing racist things. I think
if he really lives in Germany, it's not like he's going day to day be hating black people. But he sounds, the things, hearing those first videos when he was making those claims about the statistics. I grew up in Georgia, and it sounded exactly like every, good old boy down there that flies a Confederate flag. No, I'm not racist, but black people commit more crimes. Like, it's you're racist, and you're just, you're trying to hide behind numbers that, you don't even understand.
I don't really think that he's racist, but he does have mild prejudice, and his personality disorder with narcissism kind of beefs that up a bit and makes it seem as if he is racist because he's not physically able to admit he's wrong. That's his problem, and that's a personality disorder. He does have a mental illness, like that is for certain.
Yeah.
That he has a personality disorder, and that kind of just blows everything up whenever he says something and refuses to acknowledge it. He would rather change the English dictionary than admit that he's wrong.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you. I don't think there's enough evidence to say that he's personally racist. I understand what you're saying, Alice, and it might be that he is, and I think he is prejudiced, and I think some of that prejudice is the result of his flawed inference from statistics.
Yeah, and I kind of agree. I'd say at worst, he is covertly racist, and at best, he just has poor reasoning skills.
Yeah, yeah.
I have something to say, with what Alice did. I'm not very proud of this. I'm from the Bible Belt, and
Yeehaw.
It's a struggle. Because I used to be homophobic, and honestly, I was a tad bit prejudiced, and I didn't even know it. So I think that it is possible to, in your day-to-day life, you don't mind being around, per se, other race. That doesn't really bother you, but you can definitely to a degree, and you don't even know.
You have your black friend. Oh.
You broke up there.
I don't. Well, to pick up, I think she's going. You don't have to, look and sound like you're racist all the time to be racist. There's a lot of people down there that would, they would absolutely go hang out in black clubs and, have quote unquote black friends. And as soon as they were gone, they're not friends anymore, and they're not okay with that culture anymore. And it's, a lot of it is behind closed doors. But I think I feel really safe saying that he's a racist just because, it just sounds. If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck,
I agree. Someone can, as you say, hang around black people, even be friendly with them. Maybe not have close personal relationships, but and still believe that they're part of an inferior race. A person could do that. But I think it's possible that Rue is racist, but I don't think there's enough evidence.
Yeah, but how do you hold those prejudiced? Well, you're an atheist as well. Like, you're supposed to know that there is no difference between the races, that it's so minute, that there is virtually no difference. You're supposed to know all that, so how can you still hold prejudice is weird.
Something I mentioned as a pin-up earlier is atheism is just the lack of belief in God. You don't even have to be rational to be an atheist.
Which is true. You can still believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
You can, there's all kinds of irrational ideas you can hold and still not believe in a God or not worship a God.
I'm not saying. That's kind of materialism. You don't have to be a materialist to be an atheist, but also you don't even have to be a critical thinker to be an atheist. You don't even have to think rationally or be independent in your thinking to be an atheist. I'm sure there exist atheists in the world, and it may be a worryingly high percentage of atheists who are atheists in just the same way that most religious people are religious, because that's what they're brought up as. And there's no doctrine to atheism, but you can attach doctrines to atheism, like science and humanism, and you could effectively indoctrinate someone with atheism. It's a misuse of atheism. It's not what atheism actually is.
Yeah, you're right.
But
that can happen. And so a person can be an atheist without being all these other good things that we tend to associate with atheism.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched a really great debate not that long ago between Matt Dillahunty and a woman whose name escapes me right now on abortion. And I was like, wow, this is great. They're both atheists, and they're talking about whether abortion should be legal or not. And it just kind of solidifies that idea that ideals are held differently among people that agree on one thing, one simple thing.
Now,
but I'm gonna
to have a secular agreement on abortion that doesn't have to include but God says life is important.
Right,
Yeah.
and she had more of an argument from DNA, from
Okay.
it was interesting. You look it up if you get a chance to.
I can see both sides from a secular perspective, to be honest. I
Yeah.
tend to be
Yeah.
prejudiced.
So, yeah, I'm definitely on a personal level. I mean, I have 2 children. I mean, personally, I wouldn't want to see one of my children get aborted, but that doesn't mean I'm going to push my views on other people. So it's kind of the
Well,
way
you look at the other end of it, like, what about the parents that don't want to have this child? What's their life going to be like when this child is forced upon them? Like, in some cases, it would be better for a child to be aborted than to be forced to live a life of negligence.
I
Yeah.
think
Of
the
course.
most important aspect to it, and I don't even go as far as you do there, Josh, because that's kind of murky territory. What I would say is that it's a significant imposition on the woman's body. It's part of the woman's body, even if even it's a separate life form. And at least before a certain time in the pregnancy, there's no scientific moral issue with ending its life. It has no feeling, there's no consciousness, and before 6 weeks, it doesn't even have a heart. I've heard people make the argument that you kill a little baby with a heart, like it doesn't even have one before 6 weeks. So you're okay with it before 6 weeks? No, it's just an emotional argument. So yeah, I would just say that it's a woman's rights issue, and I deem the woman to have the right to control what's going on in her body, even if that means ending a potential life.
I agree because I don't want anybody like taking blood from me or a kidney or any other organs or any other kind of life-giving substance just because they need it or they feel that it's their right for some reason or I see it very similar in when it comes to organ donation. But yeah. Okay, I'm going to move on through this letter he sent us because I think he brings up some points. I don't think they're very good, but he does bring some points up.
Yep.
Rue offered the statistics in response to Jacqueline Glenn's video, in which she claimed that white cops and white people in general are racist. Because of a picture, I know, because of a picture of showing how Gardner versus Roof were taken into custody, and a statistical claim that blacks are often treated unfairly by whites. Now, I do take issue with that because she actually never references statistics. I went back and watched the video again before this. She makes sort of an emotional appeal.
She does a bit, yeah.
Yeah, which isn't necessarily make it valid or correct, but there is no statistical claim that she makes. Okay, and then he says to the points of that video. 1, a general uncertainty of statistics, especially in social questions, will cut in both ways. Not only against Rue's arguments, if you question the FBI stats, you also have to question the statistics that claim unfair treatment of blacks. And I'm going to stop right there because there's a really important thing that makes what he has done the ecological fallacy compared to what a sociologist would say, and that's the fact that they take many different references of research. They're not just taking one simple claim or statistic and drawing or inferring something from that. They, it's an all-encompassing. I mean, it's a whole field. Sociology is an entire field for a reason. So I definitely take issue with that, and it also what he states there. It rests on the claim that Jacqueline Glenn had made a statistical claim in her video, which she did not do.
Yeah.
And so he ends that paragraph with, so the entire video could be used to attack Jacqueline Glenn's argument with equal validity. That's just false. I mean,
Yeah. I was going to mention about the last bit, the sentence before that. There's 2 mistakes other than the ones you mentioned, or one mistake and one comment I wanted to make. Yes, sociology is a field, and more than that, the way that you eliminate extraordinary cases is that you take averages. So yes, of course, there's going to be more than one source to everything. You can't rely on just one source if you want to get a really good impression. I mean, it's good for practical purposes, but if you want to be more certain, you've got to use more than one source. And also, the sentence itself, it's just it's a sort of a it's sort of a false dichotomy, I guess. He's saying that because I can't use this, you can't use this either, ignoring the fact that there are differences between them potentially. Like because I can't use these statistics, you're not allowed to use these statistics. But what if the statistics are different? Like she didn't use them, but in a hypothetical, if she had used them, why would her statistics be any less valid? She might have made an argument for why they would be valid, and he's just ignoring that off the cuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay. All right, so we covered that one, and now the second paragraph he has here. Rue used an official FBI statistic and provided the source. This is perfectly reasonably accurate for a YouTube video.
Yeah.
And he was not writing a PhD thesis. And I found that kind of an interesting way to put it, because it's moving the goalposts in a way.
Sort of,
If
yeah.
you're going to make a claim like that, you damn well better do it well.
Yeah.
It's not something you can just say, oh, well, he wasn't making a PhD thesis, so he doesn't really have to do the research involved to actually back up his claim. I think that's kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
I would only say that that for, as I said, for practical purposes, one source, especially a government source that you've cited, is usually good enough. But as you said earlier, with the source being discredited and such, that's the kind of thing. If you're doing it properly, you do find that information out. And of course, if the entire point of your video, as his was, is based on the statistic, is based on as well the inference of those statistics, it would be better to find multiple sources. It would be better to cite all of them. It would be better to find averages or find reputable organizations that have analyzed the statistics themselves. They didn't do any of that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, one of the most important things to do in a research paper is to find dissenting opinions. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have been honest. That would have been upfront and honest to say, hey, but these people say this, and this is their reasoning. But instead, just take the stat and run with it, and that's just dishonest in my book. But
I
okay.
do sort of sympathize with this point a bit, though, because it is just a YouTube video. I agree that if he wants it to be completely accurate, he should do that. But most of the time, if you find a source, especially from a government institution, it's going to be fine. It's just that this was an extreme case, and his inference was the problem, not the. I mean, you've explained why the source is also the problem, but I don't think it was.
Well,
the
if
main
you're
problem in this case.
if you're gonna bash dissent like he does, I mean, I'd hope that you'd come up with more than one source.
Yeah, and I definitely hear you on that, Uzla. I know exactly where you're coming from. It just comes down to, again, an ecological fallacy. I mean, it's pretty plain and straightforward. He says, especially considering the fact that the other side used merely one picture showing how a person who resisted arrest versus a person who did not resist arrest, who happened to have a different skin color, were treated.
Eric Garner is this talking about? Eric Garner barely resisted arrest. I think what happened is he backed away with his arms up, and then a guy jumped on him and strangled him to death with an illegal maneuver.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if he was resisting arrest, then pretty much any movement that isn't complete submission is resisting arrest. And I accept that may be the definition, but it's barely resisting arrest. And he certainly didn't deserve what happened to him. And Dylan Roof was treated with distinct civility. I don't necessarily agree with Jacqueline's point in the video, actually. I think obviously the reactions were disproportionate, but I think if a black criminal had been the perpetrator and had been caught and had cooperated, I suspect he wouldn't have been shot. But I mean, that's complete speculation on a very complex situation. It depends on a lot of factors. But I don't think it's as simple as he was white, therefore he was treated with dignity.
Yeah, I agree. It was more along the lines of, they came in, the kid gave up. He wasn't running, he wasn't arguing, he wasn't fighting. I mean, he was arrested, as a submissive criminal in a way.
Yep.
Like, he never put up a fight. So, and it would have been, the same sort of situation with Garner, whether, you want to point out, like you said, about him just backing up. I mean, if that's resisting, that's ridiculous. But
Yeah.
it was the fact that he argued with them. And that's kind of what escalated the situation in his case was the argument. And, it shouldn't have escalated.
Well, and they
took it
all
way
had
too far.
personal history with each other, too. So, yeah.
You broke up there, Alice. Can you come back with that?
I was just saying that he and those cops had personal history anyway.
Oh, I hadn't read that.
Yeah, because he has been arrested for, what was he doing at the moment, like selling cigarettes, like selling singles?
Without a license.
He's been arrested for that several times, and he was familiar with the cops, and yeah.
I heard there was a video of him beating up like an old man. I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Well.
I mean, that old man deserved it. I mean, what the hell, dude? How dare you live that long without getting your ass kicked? Oh yeah.
I was just trying to say that it's apples and fucking oranges. I mean,
Yeah, they're very different situations.
Yeah, agreed.
I think,
Agreed.
Jacqueline's video was reductionist. Rue's reaction was extremely flawed.
Yeah.
And by the way, your comment about how dare you live that long, you're going to be the ageist now. That's going to be the main criticism that Joey's bring against you. You were serious, obviously, and so
Oh yeah, I
that's
mean.
what you are now. You hate old people.
Hey, if I get just one label out of this conversation, I'll be doing well.
Hey, they're already calling me Neo because of the glasses. That's not bad. Like, they could have done a lot worse. You look like Keanu. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, really. You were the savior, my friend.
Yeah.
Damn, I wish I could see these comments.
Is the chat open?
Well, I'm on a tablet, and it's not. No, it's not.
The chat that comes in the Hangouts chat is not getting any messages. I think that's just us, but I don't know if there's another chat.
Well, whether there is or not, I think if there's an open chat, it may show up in the comments when the video is done. I'm not sure.
I don't think that happens.
No, I don't think it does.
Does it not?
No.
Okay.
Let's
what a bummer.
in the video. Does someone have the video open? The stream? Is this
No.
streaming?
It is streaming. Yeah.
Do you have the link to just view this instead of participating?
I do somewhere. I could probably post it. Let me see.
It's not on your Tree Tail channel, is it? It's on its own channel.
Yeah, it's on the.
Oh, right. Atheist Roundtable.
No, the Rational
No,
Roundtable.
sorry.
You
Oh,
bet.
Yeah, I've got the channel.
Get it right. Get it right.
Oh, damn it.
I think this is a totally different channel. There's one called Rational Roundtable, which is not us.
Yep, that's true.
You have to put "the" in the front.
Right.
And I think make it all one word too.
Oh, I think I found it. Hangout number 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, look
Okay.
at
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
it.
there. Yeah. Ooh,
I'm
6 people.
We got people talking.
4 ups, 20 downs.
How about
Uh,
Limey
Oh,
Oh, yeah, there's
Yes. Yes, you can name me after a stone.
action about Limey fucktard.
Let's not focus on the comments until after the video, and that's something. If we hang out again next week, we'll look over the comments and we can talk about them next week. Okay?
There's a difference between comments and live chat.
Oh, is that well? Hey, anybody that has a live chat open, do me a favor. When the hangout's just about to end, I want you to copy the entire thing for me. Okay?
All right, I'm on it.
I'm sorry, guys. It's the busiest time of day for me. I'm sorry I couldn't talk more.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We have your lovely face there to look at. That's good enough. Moving on here. Let me see. We went through who have different skin color. Okay.
Damn,
There was.
that's enough, by the way.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
Said you damn right. That's good enough.
Okay, so there was no statistical evidence or any evidence whatsoever for the claim of white racism provided. So attacking him for using official statistics is at best hypocritical. That sentence, it seems like a contradiction to me.
I think they're saying Jacqueline's claims weren't supported. Like, she was claiming that there was white racism and that wasn't supported. I think what she was saying was pretty much speculative, so I don't disagree that it wasn't supported by evidence.
No, I don't disagree either. Like I said, I think it was an emotional claim she was making.
It was pretty much. I don't think it was completely an emotional claim, but it was mostly an emotional claim.
Yeah, mostly. Let me see here. It was at best hypocritical, as if it were better to make claims without providing any evidence. Well, she has the weak evidence of personal experience, but it's pretty weak. Let me see here. And no one needs to use any. What do I have written here? Yeah, I just, some of these spots he does have points. I mean, she should have provided some evidence for what she was saying. I think that her argument was weak, and that it would have been one thing to point it out like that, but that's not the way that Rue went about it at all.
I'm not a Jacqueline Glenn apologist, and I don't necessarily agree with her conclusion in that video. So I'm not defending her. I will speak briefly to the accusations made about her that Rue said, such as that she just wanted the police to attack the guy anyway, Dylan Roof anyway. Like this was addressed initially. This was addressed in the Drunken Peasants podcast. She made it very clear that she's against all police brutality. And this is a smear against her, just like the smears about Josh that are based on deliberate misinterpretations of like common logical arguments, like Josh using analogies. This was just something that was mentioned in the chat, and I think the guy that mentions it's gone anyway, but I wanted to mention it anyway, because that's an important point that they're still misrepresenting her and smearing her with.
Yeah, I'm not an apologist for her either. I think it was, like I said, an emotional argument, a poor argument that she made, but that doesn't necessarily mean that citing one statistic means you're correct. When it comes to, especially when it comes to social issues, you have to have concordance, among what your evidence is, to draw any kind of conclusion out of it. And if I could plug a really great YouTuber, Concordance, awesome YouTuber, check him out. Okay, and then at the very end here he puts, and the larger point is, nothing said in the video would give you the right to call him a racist and smear him for weeks. As if you cannot cite statistics without going into a several-minute-long discussion about statistical certainties. Every educated person knows that anyway. Well, I disagree with the end. Every educated person knows that anyway. That's just foolishly false. But the point he brings out about nothing said in the video would give you the right to call him a racist. I can see how somebody could infer a racist statement like that. Infer that he is a racist from it. I can see how people could do that. Now, like I said, I think he just has poor reasoning skills.
Well, it's not only just that statement; it's that he's standing behind it still. That bothers people. Like, it's one thing to slip out and make a mistake. It's another thing to stand by that mistake and defend it to the end.
Yeah, I have to agree that there is one major issue I have with the statements he made, and that's when it comes to sentence structure, and you have black people, you are using the wrong adjective. I'm sorry, it's not necessarily black people. I mean, you can't put it that way. It would be poor people or people that are abused as children. There's a lot of factors that go into it. I think by using the adjective black and making a argument that way, that sort of implies, like I said before, a certain level of almost covert racism.
Yeah, but he gets more specific than that. It wasn't just black people. It was black people are insanely more criminal than any other race, while they're killing infinitely more people. Yeah. Like, he gets more specific than just black people. Like, there's plenty of grounds to call that statement itself racist. Plenty of grounds.
Yeah, I mean, because it's based on race, it is there. Yeah, I mean, honestly, any statement or argument you make based on race, no matter what race you plug in there, by just using the term race, it is by definition racist.
Yeah, as long as you're saying that it's due to race and not just a tendency. I mean, there is a tendency for black people to commit more crime, but the race is not the reason. There's no reason to indicate that that's the reason. I mean, the socioeconomic reasons have to be considered first. And honestly, even if what he said hadn't been grammatically racist, what he said would not have made sense if he had taken into account the fact that it's socioeconomic factors causing this and not race. Like, he focused on one race, even though I haven't looked at the stats for this, but even though I'm pretty sure that there's other races in the US who are committing proportionately for population a similar amount of crime. They also happen to be the poor races, and if you group, I'm sure if you grouped whites who are poor as well, you would find that they commit proportionately more crime than whites in general. So it's clearly not a racial issue, but he's focused on one race that are part of that group. Now, it's true that was the subject of Jacqueline's video, but the statements that he made didn't have to focus on that one race, but they did, and that kind of indicates a certain degree of racism.
I mean, I remember taking civ class, and maybe it was because I was in the Deep South, and race is a big issue down there. But in civ class, we went over everything we're talking about right now. So it's really hard for me to know that this man has graduated high school in America, and he's coming out with these kinds of opinions, and he sounds like a reasonably intelligent guy, and it just, to me, just seems like a big excuse, or it's just, it's making him feel okay with being racist. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. Yeah.
I suspect what happened is that he said something brashly which he didn't consider could be racist, because he dislikes overuse of the word racism, and so he tend to ignore things that would otherwise be considered racist more than other people would. And he didn't notice it probably while he was editing, or if he did, he didn't care enough to change it, because he said it, and he must be right because he's him. Narcissism. And so he put it out, and I mean, let's face it, the drama is not all about AIU being racist. The only thing is that statement.
Well, he's supporting it at this point. I mean, he's.
Yeah, but that statement caused drunken peasants to react to it, and to say that he is racist, and then that caused the atheist community in general, and it wasn't just Josh doing this. I've seen some other things about this to sort of paint him as a racist, because it's drama. Internet drama can be fun and gets people interested, gets people doing things, and a common enemy as well. There's a lot of psychological reasons for what happened, but it spiraled out of control from there because of the way Rue reacted to it all. I mean, I'm sure if he'd been good-humored about it, everyone would still be friends. There'd be no drama anymore.
Well, he wouldn't even have to be good-humored about it if he had taken maybe half an hour to think of a response. I mean, he could have backpedaled. He could have. I just feel like there's a lot of other responses he could have had, unless he was tired and cranky that day and he just felt like doubling down instead. It just seems to me like, if you're thoughtful enough, you can come up with a way to still sound right and not label yourself racist.
I mean, one thing that's important for everybody is to admit that you made a flaw. You're wrong. I mean, that's a character building achievement, in my opinion, for most people.
How are you ever going to be right if you can't be wrong?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's absurd. He should have went back and said, after looking at it further, when looked at on an equal plane, whites, blacks, Mexicans, Asians, everybody that's out there, crime is pretty equal when you're poor.
Yeah.
Listen to that white
absolutely.
guilt.
Yeah, I mean, white guilt, I suppose. Now, oh man, jeez. So let's go ahead and we finished up with the little diatribe that he had written there.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about.
Hey Flo, we reviewed your thing. You got to go review my article now.
What was that?
We reviewed Flo's thing. Now he's got to go review my article.
Oh, yeah, that's perfectly fair. They're apparently having a hangout this Sunday, and hopefully they'll live broadcast that and give everybody equal opportunity. And
That'd be so much fun.
Just for all the Rue fans that are listening, I do want to let you know I will not be removing any of your comments because I do believe in an open and civil discussion. So, throw your hate, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to ban it. I'm probably not going to comment on it because you know what? That's what you do. You just ignore the bad stuff and you try to build on the good stuff.
Yeah, I'll add as well as a strength thing to that. If there is, I don't suspect there is, but if there is or if there was any censorship going on in or around this video, I wouldn't be part of it, or this video series. I wouldn't want to be part of it.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not for censorship. I mean, I'm not necessarily going to open my living room up to anybody, but I am going to, allow people to comment all they want. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, I still want to add. I still don't think there's enough evidence really to see one way or the other if he is racist or not. If in fact that he is, I don't even believe that he acknowledges it or realizes it himself. So, of course, in his mind, then it wouldn't have been a racist statement if he doesn't even realize that he is to begin with.
Do you think at some point?
Yeah, I know I'm pushing it kind of hard, and because I don't know, it's not that I'm forgetting that he probably has this narcissist issue, whether it's diagnosed or not, but I don't know. I've always felt like like I said before, if it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck. Labels are important, and if they're talking like a racist, they deserve that label.
I'm wondering if he genuinely isn't racist, that at some point he may embrace racism simply for political interpersonal reasons. Like, they all say I'm a racist, and really, what's wrong with being a racist? And he'll just do it to counter his opponents.
Of course,
he'll just become a racist, like even if it's just ostensibly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that Alice brought up there was the narcissism thing, and we could go over the 9 points of narcissism. We went over the, 13, 14, whatever points of cult-like activity.
Yeah.
Would you guys be interested in doing that next, or do you want to move on to the alpha, beta, omega discussion?
I suspect most of the people watching this are going to be AIU fans. So maybe it would be good to stay on topic of AIU, but we're not going to expand our audience if we don't go on to something else, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
We could cover them quickly.
Okay, we'll cover them very quickly. I'm just going to go over the 9 points, and what I want you to do, I'll read the 9 points, and on your hand, just go ahead and every one you think fits, count it on your hand, and at the end, I'll see what the totals are, okay?
All right.
Okay. 1. Has a grandiose has a grandiose sense of self-importance. He exaggerates achievements and talents, expects to be recognized as superior without the actual achievements. 2. Is preoccupied with fantasies of unlimited success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. 3. Believes that he or she is special and unique and can only be understood by or should associate with other special or high-status people. Or institutions, by the way, which is interesting because the UCLA stuff. Number 4, requires excessive admiration. Number 5, has a sense of entitlement, in effect, unreasonable expectations of especially favorable treatment or automatic compliance with his or her expectations. Number 6, is interpersonally exploitative. In effect, takes advantage of others to achieve his or her own ends. Number 7, lacks empathy, is unwilling to recognize or identify with the feelings and needs of others. Number 8, is often envious of others or believes that others are envious of him or her. And number 9, shows arrogant, haughty behaviors or attitudes. And there is one on this list that I don't see that is rather important, which is cannot handle criticism. So there's 10 out there, but 9 on this list. I ended up with an 8.
I'd say 9.
I said yes for all of them, but I did qualify that one where I suspect he's empathetic towards some people, but he definitely seems to lack it towards some as well.
Yeah, going back to the dude, the suicidal guy. So I mean, he's got.
Yeah, I think it's empathy based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I pointed out, that may have to do with some kind of personal experience. I do think he does lack a lot of empathy with, it seems like more than anything, his dissenters.
Yeah.
He doesn't care to call you any name in the book, make no argument whatsoever, but call you every name that you would never say in front of your mother. So, that was just something we touched on real quick, but let's go ahead and move on. With the alpha, beta, omega, delta, gamma, sigma stuff. If you have it there, Azula, I don't know if you still have that thing you tweeted me the other day, but I thought it was...
Currently.
You do or you don't?
I don't have it on me currently. It was actually on another PC, but I could find it pretty quickly.
It's okay. I actually have one of our conversations here. I'm sure I can pull it up. Oh, give me a moment here. Oh, you're the heathen, huh? I like that.
I've got the image. It just lists 5 of the groups. There's a few others that aren't here.
Okay. Do you mind taking this part of the discussion for a minute?
Sure.
Okay, great. I'm going to grab a beer.
All right. So
Same.
this conversation kind of came up, and there's these classifications that most people have heard, at least some of them, for social roles in friendship groups and also in general. You can apply these to a person's role individually and also in a specific group. And I'm not sure how scientific these are. I think some of them are used in actual science, but some of them are just sort of quite approximate and subjective. So you've got the alpha type, which I'm sure most people are familiar with, which are, I've got a diagram here, it says psychologically dominant and socially dominant. So these will generally be natural leaders. And then you've got beta, which are psychologically dominant and socially submissive, meaning that they'll be the wingmen, the right-hand men for the alpha. They'll obey the alpha and no one else, and they'll always be looking to replace the alpha. And you've got gamma, who are psychologically dominant and socially rejective. They tend to remain outside the group, but if for any reason they are inside the group, they become effectively alphas. And I find this actually quite common among atheists, this one. You've got delta, psychologically submissive and socially submissive. Deltas tend to just assert no particular dominance over anyone and have no particular individuality. Unfortunately, not all of these groups are equal. This one's sort of almost the bottom. And then you've got omega, who are psychologically submissive and socially rejective. So they don't assert dominance and they don't take part in any social structures. They tend to not be part of society, and this is where you'd find psychopaths and sociopaths. There's a few others as well, which are not on this graph, but I'll go through them anyway. And as I say, some of these are quite subjective. You've got sigma, which are I've heard this described in different places, so I'll use the one I've heard most recently, is the people who don't tend to be part of the group, but they'll occasionally be around and be dominant even over the alpha. And since these generally apply to males, they'll have a female that no one's ever seen before with them. That's how it was described. They're sort of super alphas, but they don't take part in the group. And you've got lambdas, who have no particular interest in the sexual aspect of the social structure. And these tend to be homosexual males. And then there's one other personality type that I don't think has a Greek letter assigned to it, but it's effectively the manipulative male, who only takes part in the social structure in order to climb it through manipulating psychologically. So those are the ones that I know of.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty extensive list in my opinion, because most people have heard of alpha, beta, omega. You know, yeah. The others are rather interesting, especially when people paint false dichotomies. You're either an alpha or a beta. Yeah. That's a foolish argument. It doesn't work that way. You know, if we want to bring this back around to Devin Tracy, alpha, yeah, I mean, definitely exhibits a lot of the features of an alpha male, quote unquote. But I don't know. It's really tough because there's a lot of that manipulation.
It's hard to assign any of these to somebody that you only know via the internet.
Yeah,
this is true.
I wouldn't feel comfortable applying any of these to him just because
I
don't know what he's like in real life.
I was going to say that he projects alpha, but because of the way he projects it, I suspect he's just an extremely narcissistic beta. Beta naturally, but he tends to be alpha in groups because he projects such self-importance, such dominance. I think he's actually a beta.
I think it goes without saying that skullduggery is beta. He almost nails that one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's the top beta. He's the leader beta. All the betas answer to him because he is directly in line to the alpha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this study, what was that? I can never remember his name. The John the Baptist, isn't it? Is that him?
Yeah.
So I made some comment, and then he started attacking me at first, and then, Skullduggery told him to back off, and he shut down real quick.
Yeah.
So it just seems to me like there is some sort of...
Well, he's the general of the Flying Monkeys.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a hierarchy. And the thing would be,
classic.
if something happened to Devin for some reason, he got off the internet or whatever, I do believe that Skullduggery would literally take his position.
What? No.
I know.
I mean, it's very classic beta. I mean, it doesn't get any more cut and dry.
You think he would take his position?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he would end up with the following, and it might be a remnant of a following.
Yeah, I don't think the following would last, but he would take up the alpha.
I'll just take his life if Devin left.
That is funny. Remember, some people don't get sarcasm, buddy. How many
deliberately get sarcasm in order to smear you?
I'm curious how many downvotes our video has right now.
Oh, hey, I treat them as upvotes because the people downvoting them are, we know who they are.
Let's see.
I find it funny.
20 downvotes.
It looks like it's still just 20, yeah.
I think it's hilarious. I literally just made this YouTube channel this morning.
Yeah.
And we've already had
22 downvotes.
Yeah, that's a win in my book. Okay, do we want to touch on this anymore, or do you want to move on to the next topic, or do you guys want to call it a night?
Just comment on something quickly in the chat. There's no timestamp, so I don't know how long ago this was. But there's a lot of misconceptions about the group in general, which I wrote about in my article, and this is one of them. Someone's saying crime is equal regardless of race is a claim. I don't know about it being a claim, but just the accusation that we're implying that race should exonerate you from criminal responsibility is ridiculous. There's no grounds to assume that we're saying that, and I'm certainly not. For the avoidance of doubt, race is not a valid excuse for crime.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I mean, if you're a criminal, you need to be basically ostracized from society. I mean,
At
I'm
least
sorry.
separated, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's just the way it is, I personally do not agree with the death penalty. That's something that's personal reasons, and mainly because it costs the taxpayers an exorbitant amount of money to put somebody to death rather than keep them in prison for life. And also, I don't think it's kind of like taking a child and smacking his hand and saying "don't hit." I think it sends the wrong psychological message. But
well, not to mention the amount of people that are probably innocent and are dying.
Yeah.
Well, that depends, like, per case. Like, you can't just paint everything with the same brush here.
Right,
like,
and
there's clear-cut cases where somebody is a psychopath and they go on a mass murder rampage, and then after they do that, we have to pay to feed and room them for the next 25, 30 years of their life.
That, believe it or not, is still less expensive than putting them to death.
In our current society, in our current criminal system, yeah. But
right. I mean, and that's something that Devin Tracy had brought up in his hangout with the guy who wants to live forever. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. The guy with the ponytail.
I forgot about that.
And I found this really odd and sort of telling. And he had mentioned that he did agree with the Germans, as I think he put it, the quote unquote. But I think what he actually meant was the Nazi Germans, where they would literally just line you up and shoot you. It was like the cheap death penalty. You were caught doing something wrong, and there's no trial, there's no bullshitting around. You're just dead. And I find that deplorable personally. But that's me. It's my opinion.
I sit on the fence with this one because I can kind of see both sides of it. The part of it's because my southern roots are showing again, and we live close to Texas, so you know how that goes. I was in Arkansas, but so yeah, for vengeance purposes, I still kind of hold on to that a little bit. Kind of think that in some cases, especially like sadistic things, especially if it involves children, especially. I
like beyond doubt.
I think it really
the
depends.
evidence is there.
Yeah. But if I was a criminal and I did do something, I would rather be put to death. So in the same sense, it's almost like giving them an easy way out, because I wouldn't want to spend the rest of my life there. So that's why I kind of...
Well, I mean, the way our criminal or our judicial system is set up, there's no way that we could ever just say this group of people are going to be killed and this group of people aren't. You can never. I mean, it just leaves too many questions. I mean, it just can't work that way. I don't know. Like, what would you suggest? Would you like, Josh? Did you have? I mean,
we're not saying by a group of people. We're talking about individual cases here.
Right.
I mean, I don't have any per se suggestions on how we could go about doing that. Just saying that to the effect of that's one of the reasons I can't emotionally throw out the idea altogether. So it's kind of like when one person ruins it for all. So
yeah, I mean,
go ahead and allow it all together because of these few bad ones. And I understand that's flawed logic. Like that shouldn't. It's almost like saying something racist, like judging a whole race. Sort of similar.
Yeah.
But that's kind of an emotional reason why I don't think I could fully let go of that mindset.
It's just such a slippery slope. I mean, even the evidence could totally be there. This guy absolutely, fucking killed 10 people, and it was right in front of our eyes and everything. But it's a slippery slope. You can't go ahead and off that guy and then not the next guy who there's only like a little bit less evidence. I don't know. It's just.
Yeah,
I've just always been felt like completely taking out the death penalty makes the most sense just because of the financial aspect, and then the fact that there are a lot of people that like these people they're sick, and
a lot of people are just ill, and killing them it's a complete utilitarian approach. Like we don't need them, they're not useful to society, get rid of them. There's no empathy to it. And
it's not that they're not useful, that they're harmful. That's the problem.
But they wouldn't be harmful if you put them in an insane asylum.
Right, or solitary confinement, something along those lines.
And if they didn't have the option, if they weren't on death row, then they're not going to, waste billions of dollars, or not billions, but they're not going to waste just tons of money, taxpayer money. So.
But I do see one important thing that the death penalty does serve, and it does it mostly in our country as well as some countries we disagree with, and it's that the death penalty is a deterrent. It's a psychological deterrent. It scares people into not doing something, and I find it kind of paradoxical in that way because the people who do these things, they're not thinking about consequences in that way.
No, they don't think they're going to get caught.
Yeah, sometimes, or they just don't care.
Or it's a crime of passion.
Right, or it's a crime of passion. But that's something that obviously is debatable.
Here's might be a bit grandiose calling it a thought experiment, but something for those of us here who do think that there should be no death penalty, and I am of that position. Do you apply that same logic to people like Hitler and Osama bin Laden, people who we regard as at the time the worst humans alive on Earth?
War criminals.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll say this about the Osama bin Laden thing, and I might catch a lot of shit for this from people I don't know. And it had a lot to do with the reaction that I think it was Geraldo Rivera had, where he was excited about, we killed Osama bin Laden. And personally, I don't think anybody should ever take, an enjoyment in the killing of another person, no matter how horrible they are. I think it would have been a lot better to take him and lock him up. I mean,
I think watching his fall from grace would have felt better than hearing Geraldo, cheer about him dying.
You know what I'm talking about, then, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of you have personally been affected by what he did.
No, that's different. Like I haven't. I mean, I've got a mean streak, and I can definitely see the vengeance part of it. For sure. I definitely see that, but.
I do too.
I don't think revenge should ever be part of justice. I'm not sure.
Exactly. That's That's what's important, though. Yeah.
It's a tough call. It splits both ways because they also brought up the point that if they were to keep him alive, I mean, there would have been attempts to free him. He would have become more of a martyr than he already was.
That's another utilitarian approach without empathy.
True.
Like he's a human being, despite whatever he's done. Like my position on capital punishment is, I would say, I don't have a particular rational reason for my positions. It's mostly emotional. I could probably come up with a rational position if I give it a lot of thought, but essentially I'm against humans killing humans, full stop.
Yeah.
I would have said imprison the guy quite securely, as securely as you can for the rest of his life. That's it. I mean, yeah, if there's an attempt to free him, deal with it as you would with any other attempt to free him. It shouldn't be possible to free them. It's a prison. And the argument about making him a martyr, I think that's ridiculous. Like, if you left him alive, he would have faded into obscurity in 20 or 30 years, and then
Yeah.
no one would have cared when he died of old age or whatever.
Now, I'm obviously I'm just playing devil's advocate in this case, but Josh, you do seem to have an opinion on this. I'd like to hear your point of view.
I don't know. I just think if all the circumstances line up, like I do think that there should be a shortcut to the death penalty for mass murderers and, well, pretty much. I haven't really drawn the line for what constitutes like a quick death, but I do think that there should be a simpler solution than and more cost-effective than imprisoning them for 30 years of their life. I do think that's too easy.
Yeah.
I think that it should be gone
It's
and it should be moved on with.
Have
That's
overcrowding.
closure at the end of it.
Well, what just out of curiosity, what kind of what would you propose? Like, how would you go about that? And be fair.
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking. Well, first off, it'd have to be beyond doubt that they did it. There would have to be like completely believable evidence and conviction and murder. And I haven't really put a ton of thought into it, but like
It's okay.
Dylan, like he killed how many people? And well, actually, age on that too. He was pretty fucking young, wasn't he?
Uh-huh.
But I don't know when they're proven like beyond redemption, when there isn't a chance that they can become a functioning member of society or even function in society, then I don't see the point that society should support them.
Okay, what about in cases like let's take somebody like was it Majid Nawaz, where he was a terrorism supporter, and the case could be made that he aided in the deaths of, I believe it was British citizens. Was he? I think he was arrested in the UK. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but yeah, in that case, where do we go with that? Like, there's clear evidence to have him put in a prison for a long time, and believe it or not, that was a man that rehabilitated, and good on him. I mean, what a rags to riches, kind of story.
Yeah,
that's
I think,
Go
I
ahead.
think you can never assume that rehabilitation is impossible, but I think in some cases, see, the way I see the justice system is, I want to take all the actual, and this is going to sound strange, but let me explain. I want to take the actual justice aspect out of it and just make it a way to keep dangerous people away from everyone else. That's it. Like, there's no punishment involved, and that may be naive. I haven't considered it very thoroughly, but that would seem to me to be an ideal. You just take the dangerous people and you keep them away from everyone else. The reason.
So what's stopping someone like from aggravated assault and killing someone?
Well, they'll go to prison. I mean, still, but they won't be there if they actually are genuinely rehabilitated, and you can't ever tell for sure, but you can get good indications. I mean, you can get indications beyond reasonable doubt in some cases. You can tell if someone's acting, but I think what I'd say with the rehabilitation thing is that, yes, if they are generally rehabilitated, they should be on sort of a very carefully watched basis released into society. But the reason I think that the punishment aspect could ideally be taken out of the justice system is that the problem there, the problem that you're trying to solve by adding the punishment, is to stop people from wanting to commit crimes. Now, there are people who commit crimes because they enjoy it, but I suspect, I don't know, I suspect that's this distinct minority. The majority are crimes of desperation or necessity. That's a social problem that we've got to fix. If we can fix that, then the reason to commit crime is extremely reduced and less people will commit it. If we get an actual utopian society where no one is in poverty and everyone has plenty, everyone lives a contented life, all we'll get is crimes of passion. And yes, those people deserve to be punished exactly the same way as you would for any other reason for committing the crime. But when there's so little crime, I think it's safe to just take the people who are dangerous and lock them away from everyone else. Even if that's not a significant deterrent. I mean, you still have the same length of sentence. So yeah, that's my sort of tentative.
I mean, the whole idea of prison, I think, is something that we, as a society, need to rethink, because it's still a really archaic concept, and it's still something that has barely changed. And but I don't think we're anywhere near that level of empathy, as a society. And but I mean, yeah, that would.
And here's the thing, like it's a very, very mild form of torture. Like you are subjecting people to boredom for decades. That's
And you're halting their productivity.
Well, yeah, I mean that too. I'm sure a lot of criminals, especially in the US, I'm talking mostly about concept right now, but in terms of implementation, the US has a lot of issues. But just in terms of concept, a lot of people who are potentially productive members of society get put in prison for something, something that might have been circumstantial. That they
Well,
might
you even
only
look
have
at like
done in
the
circumstances.
the rehabilitation of like the Finland prison system, where they actually teach criminals trades and all that in prison, and they have an actual community instead of a prison of prisoners.
Well, I mean, I don't know much about that, but if it works, then that's good evidence to support the position of.
Yeah, they have the lowest crime rate out of like any country.
Yeah. Basically, the socialist idea of like help the people who need help, and then they will be part of the system you've helped them to be part of, rather than the more social Darwinist attitude where it's just the strong survive, the weak become homeless. Like there's 14 times less homeless people in the UK than the US by percentage of population.
Watch the statistical arguments.
No,
but
I'm not trying to infer anything from that, but it does suggest that conclusion at the very least.
No, I hear you. Well, we're gonna wrap this up. I didn't want to go in too long. I do want to throw this out to you guys and anybody that's viewing this. I'm gonna, in the comment section of this video, I will go ahead and post this video. Is everybody okay with that? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. In the comment section, I'm going to put on a few topics that we can talk about next week, and hopefully, like, the upvotes will let me know what people want to hear. And if somebody has a suggestion that's not in the comment section, well, fucking post it. And you know what? Upvote it yourself.
Yeah.
Vote for yourself. Next week, I want to talk about a couple things. Gentrification is one topic I want to touch on. I want to talk about guns. And I want to talk about how are some atheist channels on YouTube a little bit too generic, and is that necessarily a good thing? And then if we have enough time, we may talk about elections or politics a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, I do want to end this by quoting J.D. Kane, "Go fuck yourselves."